Hi, I'm Eric Kelly from KellyPlanet.com. This is a closer look at Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 6, Episode 14, Face of the Enemy. This is the episode that introduces the Tal Shiar, and I guess the writers wanted to pound that into our brains, so I'm going to count how many times those words are used. It's a lot. The first thing we see is the emblem of the Romulan Star Empire, so that's interesting. There's some Romulan feet, okay, and whomever this is feeling kind of rough, and holy crap, Counselor Troi is a Romulan. That guy is Navek, and he knows who she is, so he's in on this, and says, "Hi, welcome to the Warbird, Kazara." And Troi has no idea what he's talking about. They kidnapped her from some conference and then did some cosmetic surgery.
Listen to me carefully. You are no longer Deanna Troi. You are Major Racal of the Tal Shiar, the Imperial Intelligence. Commander Toreth
Am I a prisoner?
There is no time to explain everything. You must listen.
He goes on to say that this ship's commander is named Toreth, and don't tell her anything except head to the Caleb sector. And Racal Troy's like, yeah, okay, why would you listen to me? Navek says, well, you're Tal Shiar. She has to do what you say, but just don't push her too far. Racal Troi says, how about no? But Navek's like, yeah, you're a Starfleet officer disguised as a Romulan. If you don't do exactly as I say, they're going to kill you. Of course, she can sense that he's telling the truth, so off they go to meet Commander Toreth. There she is, and that's Carolyn Seymour. We've seen her as a different Romulan before. Apparently, the Warbird is taking on secret cargo at the moment.
Commander, may I present Major Racal of the Tal Shiar. This is Commander Toreth.
Attend to your station.
Toreth dismisses Navek and starts asking Racal Troi questions about their mission, and she's like, nope, I can't tell you. Toreth says, you sure don't act like a member of the Tal Shiar. That guy says the secret cargo is aboard, and Toreth wants to know why she can't know what it is. Currently very meek, Racal Troi says, oh, I'm sure it's totally safe, don't worry.
The Tal Shiar is deeply concerned for the safety and the well-being of the military. I'm sure that every person on the bridge of this ship could offer testimony about personal experiences with the Tal Shiar.
That was a Tal Shiar double whammy. Toreth obviously has beef with the Tal Shiar and tells Racal Troi that, I don't care what you say, I'm going to open those cargo containers.
That cargo is the property of the Tal Shiar. And if you do not wish to undergo another personal experience with the Tal Shiar, I suggest you not question me again.
Everybody knows the name of the Romulan secret police now, right? Anyway, good job, Racal Troi. She orders a course set for the Caleb sector.
Captain's log, Stardate 46519.1. We have arrived at Research Station 75 to take on a rather unique passenger. One whose homecoming will undoubtedly be difficult.
That's Ensign Desev, and he's a human, but defected to the Romulans like 20 years ago, but now he's undefecting. And being arrested for treason. But before he gets locked up, Desev says he must speak with Captain Picard. There he is, and now Desev addresses him as Commander, which would be correct on a Romulan ship, but he already referred to Picard as Captain like 15 seconds ago.
I have a message from Ambassador Spock. He said it involves further cowboy diplomacy. He said you would understand. There's a Covalent freighter arriving in the Caleb sector in the next 12 hours.
Yeah, this is the third part of the unification arc with Spock. Take that, Discovery. Desev doesn't know what the cargo is, but it's important for peace between the Romulans and the Federation. So the Enterprise is off to the Caleb sector, which is where Racal Troi's going to be. That's the cargo, and I forgot to mention that Navek is played by Scott McDonald, and we'll see him many, many more times. Memory Alpha says this is his second Trek appearance, but I don't recall any previous roles, and IMDb says that this is Scott McDonald's very first acting credit ever, so...
The purpose of the Tal Shiar is to ensure loyalty.
I think it's time you told me what this is all about.
That is why I called you here. These are the cargo containers we brought on board earlier.
Holy crap, the cargo is people. And not just any people, that one is a proconsul on the Romulan Senate, and he's defecting to the Federation. And this whole thing is to set up a kind of underground railroad for those that follow Spock's teaching against the Romulan government. I'm not sure why they needed to make Troi a Romulan to accomplish this, but I think that gets explained later.
You've given me the identity of a Tal Shiar officer. Is there a real Major Racal?
There was. She was killed so that you could take her place. Only a member of the Tal Shiar would have the authority to alter a ship's mission.
The plan is, once they get to the Caleb sector, Racal Troi and the cargo are going aboard a Covalent freighter, and that will take them to, he says, Starfleet headquarters. But I don't think they would go straight to San Francisco with Romulans. Nope, it's dinner time with Commander Toreth. She's telling war stories, and there's Racal Troi. Toreth welcomes her to the table and suggests she try some Vinarine. Of course, she probably has no idea what that is, so she says, nah, I've smelled better Vinarine on prison ships. Toreth starts asking questions about military training and what her professors at the War College thought.
So you must know Commander Concept. Tell me, Major, what do you think about his theories on the differences between the military and the Tal Shiar?
Which aspects are you referring to?
Surely you attended his classes regularly.
Yeah, So Raquel Troy's like, well, so what's your point? Toreth says the military needs to trust each other, but the Tal Shiar trust no one. Raquel comes back with, your opinion of the Tal Shiar is quite clear, Commander. Toreth's like, well, yeah, good. See, the Tal Shiar came for her dad because he was speaking his mind too much, and then she never saw him again.
I don't need your devotion, Commander. Just your obedience.
And that's all you have.
Commander, sensors are picking up an unidentified ship on an intercept course.
It's the Corvallan freighter, which Toreth had no idea about. Raquel Troi tells Nivek that the Corvallan guy is full of crap and is lying about something. So holy crap, Nivek blows up their ship. Okay, that's not part of the plan. Toreth's like, what the heck was that? And Nivek says, sorry, Commander, Major Raquel told me to. Of course, the Commander is pretty mad and tells Raquel Troi that eventually she'll have to answer to somebody.
I have been given broad discretionary powers. Sub-Commander Nivek acted under my authority, the authority of the Tal Shiar. I assure you, this action will not be questioned.
Toreth says she's going to log this under protest, and Raquel Troi says, okay, fine, whatever. Engage the cloaking device. We're going to stay here for a while. The Enterprise shows up in the Caleb sector, but there doesn't seem to be any ships around, because it's cloaked. Picard asks Desev what the deal is, but he doesn't know. But the message came directly from Spock, right? Well, not exactly.
And what does that mean?
Someone else relayed the message to me, but he said Spock spoke directly to him. I trust the man who spoke to me. He would not have lied.
Was he a Romulan?
Worf. I'm about halfway through this episode at this point, and I've heard the name Tal Shiar 16 times so far. Worf thinks this is a trap, and Desev says no way, and Picard says, well, either way, there's no freighter here. Nivek's like, holy crap, our plan is ruined. And Raquel Troy's like, well, what is wrong with you? 18 people just died. So they argue a bit, and here comes the part as to why they need to use Troi instead of an actual Romulan. Plan B is to take the warbird into Federation space and pull like a Captain Ramius at the starbase.
It's your job to order Toreth to proceed into Federation territory.
We'll never get through the gravitic sensor nets.
We will, if you provide the correct access codes.
Troi thinks this guy is crazy, but he says if you have a better idea, let's hear it. So Raquel Troi orders Toreth to proceed into Federation space, and the commander says, you can't be serious. We'll have to travel in enemy territory for like 20 hours, and Raquel Troi says, well, it's no big deal, we have cloaks. And Toreth says, our cloaks aren't that good.
If we are discovered in Federation territory, it will be interpreted as an act of war.
The Tal Shiar has obtained access codes to the sensor nets.
Toreth doesn't think this is going to work, and Raquel Troi straight up calls her a coward. The commander says the military gets blamed for wars, but it's people like you that will be the end of us all. That being said, let's head to Draken 4. That's where the starbase is. But wait, the Enterprise just showed up. So what they're going to do, against Raquel Troi's wishes, is get clear of the debris field from the freighter before going to warp so, things can happen.
It is not wise to challenge the Tal Shiar, Commander.
I will not let her tell me how to run my ship.
Data tells us that the debris field is the ship they were supposed to meet, and it was destroyed by Romulan weaponry just a few hours ago. So there might be a cloaked warbird lurking about. Red alert. Raquel Troi thinks it would be a great idea to try to contact the Enterprise somehow, but Nivek says that we're under cloak. That's pretty much impossible. He just wants to go to Draken 4. She tells him to mess with the cloak somehow so the Enterprise can track them, and he's like, no way.
I've been kidnapped, surgically altered, put in danger. Now you are going to listen to me. You find a way to let the Enterprise track us, or I will go to Toreth and tell her I've discovered you're a traitor.
Wow, she's pretty mad. I would be too. Nivek says the ship's engineer is on their team, so he'll have him mess with the engine's dampening thing, nullifier core, whatever, so they can be tracked when in motion. Well, that was quick. Data is detecting a magnetic distortion to port, but then it disappears. What could it be?
Romulan ships use a forced quantum singularity as a power source. If that system is not functioning perfectly or is damaged even slightly, it might show through the cloak as a magnetic disturbance of some kind.
This is the first mention of Romulans using a quantum singularity as a power source, and this is where we go full-on submarine movie. Yada yada, and Toreth's plan is to get super close to the Enterprise, and if the starship moves to avoid the Romulans, they're going to do like a crazy Ivan. They'll decloak and blow it up. Data says, hey, that distortion is back, and it's going to run into us in like 60 seconds. So the Enterprise backs off and the Romulans are prepared to attack. Raquel Troi says, belay that order. Of course, Tereth says, I don't need your permission. Well, step down or I'll have you removed. No one's going to listen to you.
If any one of you defies the Tal Shiar, you will not bear the punishment alone. Your families, all of them, will be there beside you.
Nivek says, please step down, Commander, and takes her disruptor. The Warbird decloaks and Worf gets hailed. She says, I am Major Raquel of the Tal Shiar, but they recognize her, of course, and the plan is to beam her aboard to talk diplomatically. The Enterprise drops its shields for transport, and the Warbird fires on them, which is just a ruse to get those defectors on board. Nivek says, oh no, our disruptors must be damaged. But Tereth knows better and also finds out that the cargo was beamed to the Enterprise. She gets another Tal Shiar in and then says, I see 2 traitors in our midst. Pilot Guy vaporizes Nivek, and they take Raquel Troi's weapon.
So, Major, now that you can no longer take refuge behind the shield of the Tal Shiar, we will soon know all that we need to know, and then we will execute you.
The commander orders the Warbird cloaked and warp out of there. But that's okay because we get Troi back. It wasn't firmly established until this episode, but the cloak replaces the defensive shield, so that's how they could do the transporter thing. Yeah, there's Troi and Bev's 2 seconds of screen time. Yeah, she was in the transporter room earlier, but didn't have any lines.
The way has been paved for further rescue operations. Nivek's efforts and his sacrifice were not in vain.
So someone, mostly Tereth and Troi, said the words Tal Shiar a total of 22 times in this episode, which is about once every 2 minutes on average. It's like, I'm in the Tal Shiar and we do Tal Shiar things because that's what Tal Shiar do. The Federation probably doesn't like the Tal Shiar, but that's okay because the Tal Shiar doesn't like the Federation because that's the Tal Shiar way. At least that's how this script sounds to me. I feel like a studio exec jumped in and said, oh, you guys are introducing a new thing. You better say it as many times as possible because our fans are stupid. Oh, I forgot to mention, Worf got rid of his poofy hairdo and has the ponytail for the first time in this episode, and he'll have that from here on out. This is ranked as probably the best TNG Romulan episode, and I think it was pretty fun. Troi definitely had a lot to do this time, but I don't think it was super special, so I'm just going to go with 3 deltas out of 5. You can let me know how you feel about that. If you like that video, thank you, like and subscribe, make a comment if you want to. There's more Star Trek videos and related content on my website. Check it out at erickelly.com. I'm Eric Kelly. Live long and prosper.